Hi guys, today I want to talk about values in drawing and how we can simplify our drawing process and make our drawing look more realistic. Okay, so this seemingly complex drawing has only 5 values. I scanned the drawing throughout my drawing process to show you the steps I took. And this is value number 1, our highlight that comes from the paper, because the paper is white. And value number 2, which is the light value. The next step, I drew the mid value. Now the drawing starts to look better. Next, this is the dark value. And notice the drawing looks more like a proper portrait now. And this is the darkest value, which will make everything pop. If you like the drawing, I really appreciate it if you guys hit the subscribe and the like button, as this will motivate me to do more tutorials in the future. So there is a reason I draw like this, and now I'll explain everything, the steps I took, and why understanding the value will potentially help you draw a better portrait. So in this first drawing step, I try to draw the silhouette of our portrait. In this step, I draw both the background and my subject. And to achieve this silhouette look, I draw this with just one value, which is the light value. I achieve this soft look with just my charcoal powder, which I apply with my pan pastel applicator. The applicator does a really great job at making everything super soft and not too dark. In this step here, I also try to sketch roughly the highlight for my subject's hair and face. And this is all done with just my eraser. The type of eraser I use here is just a regular square rubber eraser. There's nothing fancy about it, and it really does a great job at lifting the charcoal powder and creating a clean white highlight. And if I want to be a little bit more precise, I use my Tombow Monozero eraser, which is also an eraser, but it looks like a pencil, so it's easier to handle. And because it's more pointy, it's more accurate. The big brush you see here is just for cleaning up my mess. It doesn't do anything to my drawing, so don't worry about it. For the bottom area here, I tried to sketch a bit the gown and her arm, but right now it's a bit hard to see as it's very faint and soft. So sorry about that. Also I want to say this. So this first sketch I do here, which looks soft and not too dark, it might not look as something important, but actually it is, as it serves as the foundation to this portrait. This will be my blueprint to my drawing. Without this first layer, it feels like I'm drawing blindfolded. This idea is the same as when we do underpainting for oil painting. Also, because we use light value here, it doesn't matter if you make a lot of mistakes, because it will be very easy to fix and erase. So this is great for beginners. Also, if you're wondering about my charcoal powder, that's just a byproduct of sharpening the charcoal pencil. And the charcoal pencil I use is a soft charcoal pencil from Maurice. Being soft means it's on the darker side. But notice, although it's supposed to be dark, it's really not, because I apply it with the pan pastel applicator. I try to draw softly here, but notice that every now and then, I accidentally create a darker value. I wouldn't worry about this because it will just help me create some happy accidents here and there, and I think it's a nice little touch. And this is not an ad, guys. As I said before, I scanned the drawing from start to finish, and I've created a worksheet for you guys. It's not free, because you need to do me a favor and subscribe to my channel. So if you want to try to implement today's drawing topics, You can download the worksheet from our website. Check the link in the description box or in the comment section of this video. Remember, it's not free. Hit the subscribe button first. Okay, so layer 1 is done. Now let's do layer 2, which is the mid value. For this step, I'm using my paper stump and my charcoal powder. I don't draw with my pencil directly on the paper here, because that will be too dark for this mid value. I want this layer darker than the previous layer, but still light enough so in case I make a mistake I can still easily erase it. Also, it's important not to go too dark here, because I need to keep my highlights clean. If I go dark, it's very easy to create a mess and contaminate the highlight. I started drawing from the hair here because I don't feel confident enough. I want to get the feel of my tool here before I start doing the face. And when I'm ready, I start darkening the eye socket, starting from her right eye and moving on to the other side. And I try not drawing the details here, and I think I've done a great job here. And notice the ear here is a mistake, guys. It's too far from the face. You see, although I'm a demigod, I still create mistakes here and there, and this is totally fine. But at this point, I didn't realize it. But no worries, easy fix. I will show you how I solve this later in this video. And then I move on to the mouth and the nose. It's a very simple shading, no details, and because the blending stump creates a very rough texture, I need to soften it, and I'm using my applicator again here, but this time the applicator has different shape. This one is more pointy because I feel like I need to be more accurate here. The more I rub the drawing, the softer it'll be. But the key is not to blindly move the applicator. But I'm being picky here. I try to only smudge the darker rough value. Some areas might be tougher than the others, and in that case, I just use my eraser to pick up the more stubborn charcoal. This is how I make the value look soft, but it's really not that important because I might darken this area anyway. The goal in this stage is that I develop the form so it's more readable. And as you can see here, the face starts to look better, though it's not really smooth or has any details yet. In the lower region, I darken her hair further because she has dark hair, but notice that I don't touch her neck or her arm. So the idea with this drawing workflow is that I will be drawing less and less area the further I progress. It's like a pyramid. The previous area, the light value, will be the largest, sits in the bottom. And this area here, the mid value, will be smaller, sits on top of the light value. And then the next layer, which is the dark value, will be even smaller. That's the idea. I don't have to redraw everything darker, and the dark area will be for the most important area, which will be the face itself. And here also the same idea. Not everything has mid value in fact. I'll just create some random dots like this for her gown texture. It's a simple touch really, and perhaps darken the armpit area a bit, and then I call it done. And that's it, I won't touch this area again, except at the final stage just to make sure everything looks good. Okay, now we've arrived at the fun part. So this is the fourth value, the dark value. Don't let the name fool you. it might be the dark value, but this is not the darkest value I'm gonna do here. I still need one more layer to go, the darkest value. So I need to reserve some of the darkness here for the next layer, or at least that's the plan. In this stage here, it's very crucial for me to use a sharp pencil, because if in the previous 3 stages I ignored the details, now it's the perfect time to start detailing. And the sharper the pencil is, the better for me to draw accurately. I start from the eye, as you can see here, from the upper eyelashes and then the iris, and notice that because this drawing is relatively small for me, yeah, the head is just 10 cm long, I don't draw those individual eyelashes. I don't draw hyperrealism or try to copy photographs here. The idea is to just draw enough details until it looks okay and not weird. And the fact that I still have one more layer to go, I could just detail it further later if I want to. So for now, this is more than enough for me. Same with her nose here, just darken her nostril real quick, and some shading around it to make it 3D, and that's it. So what's interesting about this is actually how with just one pencil, we can achieve a very wide range of value by just playing with how we apply it really. With a pan pastel applicator, we have light and soft value, and combining the applicator and paper stump, we have our mid value. And now I need to go darker, so I draw with my pencil directly on the paper. All of this are just with one pencil, the same pencil. But don't forget, I still need to knock back the darkness a bit. So in this layer here, I mostly use my pencil, yes, that's true, but I don't really push hard with it. And to soften the texture, I use my blending stump. I noticed that sometimes the applicator could leave too much charcoal from the paper, and I want this to be dark value. So I use my paper stump, and that solves my problem. Also, this is the point where I noticed that the ear looks off. So I just changed the ear and just tuck it behind her hair. Sometimes we don't need to do complex reworking. If an easy fix works, then it just works. No need to overcomplicate things. Okay, so back drawing the hair here with my pencil. And then to soften the texture, I just use a blending stump. I also might want to clean up the highlights here, or perhaps add some hair texture here and there. This is easily accomplished using my Tombow Mono Zero eraser. And also notice that I don't darken everything here, just like our pyramid theory before. So this is our 4th layer, so the area I'm working on here is smaller than the previous area, just around my subject's head. hair on her left side here is lacking details. This is because this side is supposed to be darker than the other side, because it's mostly shadow. So it will be mostly value number 4 or 5. If you see the lighting on her face, the light comes from her right side. So right now, I'll just leave it as it is. And again, notice that with my paper stamp, I could make the texture smoother easily. The hair on the right side looks interesting here. It has a full range of value, so I got to be careful here not to contaminate the highlight. Also, I'll do most of the detailing here in this stage because this side is brighter, so it mostly contains values number 1, 2, 3 and 4. So you see that by understanding how values works in drawing, we could draw more strategically, and understanding light helps too. Oh, the light comes from this direction, so this area must be full of light. That means I will use value number 1 and 2 for example. This opposite side will be mostly shadow. It needs to be darker, so value number 4 and 5. So we don't just blindly copy and just follow the photograph anymore like I did 10 years ago. But we are the director of our drawing, so we decide what we want. We're in full control here. And for me, personally, this is much better and much more enjoyable. Okay, so here comes my final layer of this drawing. This will be my darkest value, value number 5. And also at this stage, I will check everything, see what lacks details, what areas are too light or too dark, and fix those areas. One thing I noticed right away is that her eyes are a tad too dark at the moment. So I mostly use my Tombow Mono 0 eraser here to lighten up her eyes, especially her iris. This will make her eyes look more detailed and refined. Also, I like to brighten up the catch lights as well. I use both my kneaded eraser initially to lift up some of the charcoal, and then finish it off with my Tombow Mono 0 again. The lips, there is not much to do here, just redefining some hard edges. The hair on the right, I darken the area below her ear. Notice the light is coming from the top, so the hair and the ear is casting shadow here, and this will be the darkest area for this region. And for the other side, it's lacking details at the moment. I didn't do any detailing yet, so I'm darkening this area further and do the detailing at the same time. Notice that you don't really need a lot of different values to do some detailing. I just used 2 values, value number 4 and 5, and I think it looks great already. This is more than enough. Sometimes we don't really want too much detailing, because this is just the hair, and not really the focal point of this drawing. At least that's my intention. Also, you might think that with only 5 values, how come this drawing doesn't look posterized? But that's because I don't do hard edges everywhere. This is a combination between soft and hard edges. The hard edges will help us read the drawing properly. So this is the eye, mouth, hairline, etc. But other than that, it's mostly soft edges. And it's the soft edges that will help me blur the shading between values. And one thing I'll keep repeating here is that not everywhere gets value 5. Reserve this darkest value for just the important area only, like the eyes, the iris, the mouth, and some of the hair that surrounds the face. At this point, I won't darken the gown, for example. That's because the gown is not the focal point of this drawing. And if I start darkening her gown too, then the gown will start attracting attention to our eye. That's not good, because I want the face to be the center of attention of this drawing. Well, most of my portrait drawings anyway. This is a very basic composition rule for me. Also, when finalizing a drawing, I'll keep an eye on the highlight and the darkest value. I'll make sure the highlight is as clean as possible, and the darkest value is as dark as possible to create a full range of value. Do this right and see your drawing pops like a photo. Okay guys, this is my final drawing look. How is it? Is this good enough to get me 15k subscribers? Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate your support here. I'll do more drawing videos for you, and comment down below if you guys have any tutorial requests or something like that. Cheers and happy drawing!